Welcome back. Today we install a short shifter. Here's the short shifter. It is made in China for the RX-7, but I'm hoping this is for a MX5. In the box we have the short shifter itself with the bushing, as well as the spacer plates and the bolts, spring washer, and Delrin whole plastic thing for the ball. It's a good day out, so let's do it with the top down. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is remove our shifter, remove the center console, and put the console to one side. As you can probably tell, my upper shift boot is totally destroyed. There's nothing holding it in. I will replace that at a later stage, but this rubber shift boot protects the cabin from noise, some vibration, but it's mainly just sound that the rubber shift boot stops, and the heat as well. I don't have the insulation that sits on top of this. I also highly recommend that you use one. $10 mil. This plastic ring sits on the rubber shift boot, and it's just sitting here loosely because it's totally disintegrated. $10 mil again. You do also have a lower shift boot that sits between the transmission tower and your shifter. That mine too is also destroyed, so you can see there's a lot of oil spillages around here. And I didn't drop any of the bolts this time. So just lift up and put your old shifter to the side. So I've already found my first problem with my shifter. Every time I shift it into second gear particularly, I would hear a click noise, and I think this is the problem here. This is part of the crush washer that applies tension to the plastic ring, similar to the short shifter. What that does is it keeps the ball of the shifter tight. So every time I shift it down, particularly in the second gear, it would click up. The ball will click up and make that clicking noise. And that's the other part there. Transmission fluid does smell a bit bad. Ooh. The little plastic fitting goes onto the ball there. Alright, so this plastic ring has a curvature to this side, to this inside here, but if you flip it around, it's a flat, so it either sits this way on the bottom with the curve facing up, or on top with the curve facing down. I believe that we reuse the plastic ring that was sitting in the old shifter with this nut set screw here sitting inside of this channel. Okay, so just realize that this ring at the bottom has 3 indentations. There's one there, 2, and 3. That's where these 3 claws go into, so it sits upside down. I was trying to put it the other way around. And it doesn't sit flush on the ring because it acts like a spring washer. So the old ring looks like it seats alright, but there's a bit of a play. I wonder if that will be enough. Right, I'm gonna try take this ring out from the old shifter because it's got the intact spring washer there. Cool, finally undone. And beware, you're gonna get really dirty when doing this. I might actually try put the old bushing from the old shifter in and see if that fits a bit better. So before I put it in, the key difference between a short shifter and a normal shifter is the distance between the pivot point, which is the ball, and the engagement point in the turret. So this is a lot longer and this is a lot shorter. The amount of movement it takes to move a certain distance with the short shifter is amplified by a shorter distance between the ball, the big ball, and the small ball. So to go, let's say, 2 centimeters upwards, this part here needs to travel a lot less to go 2 centimeters upwards. But for this guy, to go 2 centimeters upward, you have to travel a lot further with the end where your hand goes to get that same amount of distance for the short shifter, which is why it's called a short shifter. You're physically moving the shifter less for the same amount of distance with the normal shifter. Alright, so I got the old bushing in the new shifter and there's very little play. Whew, there we go, it's finally in. Right, now to do the top half, which is another ring and another plastic ring and the washer that sits on top. Just bent up some of the tabs in this washer. It sits a lot better now. Ugh. I wonder if we can reuse the small shift boot. That way, oh, it looks like you can. I think hand tight will do. So the things that I didn't use in this kit is this washer, or this gasket, I guess, and the supplied bottom ball fitting. I think it's because this is a little bit too big, so I found it really difficult to put it into the shifter turret, so I reused the old yellow one and just did away with this. Oh, feels really good. Let's put on the old shift knob. I can already tell that this shifter sits a bit higher than normal. How I can tell is that my hand isn't as close to the volume button on my head unit. Now with this kit, you can either keep this attachment or you can remove it and make it a short shifter. But the only problem is it's a lot bigger thread than the original. So we're gonna run it with the long short shifter, well, tall short shifter. And I might drill and tap this guy out so I can put it down there. Just cleaning my knob. Got too much fluid on it. Whilst playing with the shifter, I found that these bolts weren't tied down enough, so I'm gonna crank it down. And there we go. That's how you install a short shifter into a MX5. I can already feel that there isn't any clicking that I was getting from my original shifter just because of that because of that metal crush washer. Time to take it for a drive. Okay, get my shoes off.
This is a short demonstration on how a short shifter works. We have the green, which is the short shifter, and the red, which is the normal shifter. The yellow is a generic gearbox or shifter turret, which both of these shifters attach to. So to get into first gear, we move it forward from neutral. So from here, we move it forward. Boom. Okay, it's in first gear. The yellow bit is traveled the same distance from the red and the green, but if you notice how much further the red goes than the green, and if we go into second, boom, once again the red travels a lot further than the green. This is because the distance between the pivot point, which is this big circle bit here, and the point of contact, which is the yellow, is far greater in the green than it is in the red, which means it takes a lot less movement from the top to change the bottom.